Welcome to today's podcast. This is EMO International, slightly different to our other shows because we have got my colleague here, Tom Skubala, who is our technical presenter.
Yes.
But we are also joined by Dr. Markus Heering he's in Frankfurt in Germany. Good day, Dr. Markus.
Hello, good afternoon.
Now, I won't do you the disservice of trying to give an overview of what you do, but you're from the VDW and the VDMA. If you could just tell our listeners and viewers what that is, please.
VDW is the association where the manufacturers of machine tool technology are members. And in this case, we are the organizer of EMO. And we have a close connection to VDMA. And VDMA is the association of the manufacturers of technology and plants. So everything else, what is not machine tool, is organized there.
There you go. So I'm assuming, great to get you on board because I'm assuming things are getting quite busy because EMO is not far away, as you see from behind us, 18th to 23rd of September. So, and we will, of course, be there. And we're doing a load of podcasts in the run up to EMO 2023. Moving on swiftly, though, Dr. Markus, I'm going to go to our next person is Tony Gunn. A lot of people already recognise him. And as I said, it's an international show. Tony, where are you?
I'm all over the U.S., currently in Chicago with all sorts of craziness going on. And I just want to say it's really exciting to get everyone around for this international podcast because you guys have been doing a phenomenal job in the UK of highlighting all the different technologies and getting people pumped and stoked for EMO coming up, as you mentioned, just a couple of weeks away, and it'll be here in a blink of an eye before we know it. So bringing over Germany to highlight some of what's going on there, and then I appreciate you guys bringing us in from the US as well. So thanks for that. Stoked about this podcast. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And let's hope the technology works all the way through. So what we're going to do is crack on with this. So first of all, Dr. Markus, EMO, yes, there is a clue behind me of where and when it is, but just if you give me a quick summary of what we can expect, how many exhibitors, anything like that, please.
As you can see on the slide, so it's from now on nearly 3 weeks. So it's starting at 18th of September up to 23rd of September in Hannover. We have around about 1,800 exhibitors right now. Still, we receive, that is funny, some applications day by day. We try to integrate them. And we will see everything around production technologies from all the manufacturers around the world. So the important suppliers are there and they will show their solutions. We said it before, we have 3 major topics. What you will see there, we call it the future insights. So we have seen that trade fair shows becoming more and more, I would say, a little bit like a stage where you can see what happened in the future. And therefore we name it Future Insights. The special topics for this time are the future of business. So we've seen that the business is changing. That means sometimes in the areas, so it's a geographic discussion. We see some markets are becoming more and more important. India is an example for that. It's a market what is coming more and more to the focus of suppliers. But also business is changing in the kind of business models. We see platform technology, digitalization. This offers new opportunities for creating businesses. We will have a look to that. Then we discuss about
is that part of what are the other topics you concentrate on, which is your connectivity?
Exactly. That is what I would like to mention as the next one.
Oh,
so
sorry,
the future of
I jumped in too
connectivity.
soon. I do apologize.
No problem. Is the next future insight, so that everything around digitalization, very close connected to the future of business, but also with the technical aspects. So we speak to machine communication, so industrial Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, as we name it here. This is the future topic of connectivity. And the third one, last but not least, I would say, is the future of sustainability in production, where we have a closer look to the topic of sustainability for all the production technologies.
The focus of today's podcast is sustainability, if I can say that. And I'm going to first go to Tony. If you can just give, what does that mean to you?
Well, sustainability is definitely a topic we discuss regularly. As you know, Colin, Tom, MTD, as a family, we're traveling the world, and I'm going to take one step back real quick just to highlight what Dr. Markus was saying about the show itself. I've been to the Gym Toff and the Simtos. I've been over to India, Malaysia. Obviously, we have IMTS in the U.S. and EMO itself. Just to get people excited, is my favorite international trade show in the entire world. It's truly one of the few left where the whole world comes together in one place. So if you're in the US, if you're in another part of the world and you currently don't have plans to attend, but you're looking to grow your business, I highly advise taking a few moments of your time, booking a ticket for a few days, heading on over and taking a look. And as we segue from that into sustainability, which is so very important, and back to the point of MTD traveling the world, sustainability is whether I like it or not is highlighted more in certain parts of the world than other parts. And being fair, here in the US, we probably should focus on it more, but every time we make a piece of content about sustainability here in the US, we try to turn it into how sustainability can create profitability as well. Because while we don't have as much solar panels as other parts of the world, while we're not looking as eco-friendly and green, and although we did create the Tesla, I was just in Norway, and Norway owns more Teslas than the US in California by far. So sustainability in the US area needs to relate to profitability, and how do we communicate that more effectively. But also going back into what Dr. Markus was talking about was sustainability immediately connects to connectivity and business as well, because as we move forward, we are reducing the overall cost. We are reducing everything that goes into the business side of things by increasing the sustainability side of things. We recently did, and you may have seen this as well, Colin and Tom, we recently did a really great tour of Motorex, which is coolant and oil and that kind of thing. Their entire facility in Switzerland, because Switzerland is dedicated to sustainability, is also focused on the ability to keep things clean and moving forward. So that's my really quick bird's eye view on it. I'd love to pass it back over to you guys to get more of a European view as well. But here in the US, we're still working on doing better when it comes to sustainability. And I hope I haven't offended anyone in the US, but it's certainly what I've seen firsthand.
So in a nutshell, the US is failing miserably on sustainability, and you're going to get everybody going to
that's extreme.
But also you're going to get everyone going to EMO, and your carbon footprint is going to be dreadful, isn't it? But so we've straight away failed there. But Dr. Markus, we're going to focus on that. So if you want to give me sort of talk us around what your thoughts are on this, in terms of energy efficiency, circular economy, and life cycle concepts.
Yeah, it's a very complex topic, sustainability, and as Tony mentioned before, it's the cost side is one aspect of that. What we see, if we have the European view, but it's also the global view, we see the environment is changing. Sustainability is a global topic. We see climate change, we see energy consumption as a topic. We see carbon footprint and CO2 emissions as a topic, what we're discussing. And beside these topics, what I mentioned, sustainability is a point where we have to have a look on. It's a topic what is mentioned by also the politicals or the politicians. We see that we have a European legislation what has a strong focus on green technology and on sustainability. We see that the public view on that is an important issue. So we have to have come back to your question. So we have to have a look on the energy consumption, because that is directly connected with CO2 emissions. We see that circular economy is becoming more and more important. So that means we have to close the circle for the used materials, that we come more to a reuse instead of a use of material. So that is what we understand if we talk about circular economy. And that includes both. That includes the machines and includes also the products what are produced and for which the machines are used. And last but not least, that means we have to have a look to the life cycle of the products and of the technology. And if we are able to close the loop of the life cycle, then we have circular economy.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is go to Tom, because I'm not saying that you Dr. Markus and Tony aren't Tom-served engineers, but I think you've probably been most recently on the shop floor. What does it, how does it affect you guys on the shop? You're not obviously you're working with us now as a technical.
Yeah. Yeah, but sustainability it should be on the front of everybody's minds, and I don't think we've quite got there yet, because obviously when you think of sustainability in the manufacturing industry, but if you bring that right down to being in your shop, obviously sustainability is when you're ordering material and you order material too big, so you're wasting lots of material. Simple little things like that can really help your footprint. And I know Tony's already touched on this, but in the UK, we're getting quite good at the moment at solar panels. Quite a lot of companies now are, I don't want to say net zero, but nearly there, because they're using the solar panels to power all the machines, power the shop floor. Now, don't get me wrong, the UK doesn't have the best weather for solar panels, and I don't know why it's took off so well, but it has. But then there's other things as well. So, and obviously, Tony, you'll have done video after video on filter mist systems. So, reducing pollution from your coolant as well. So, coolant suppliers now are finding ways of, let's say, fixing the coolant, where before, and Tony, you'll know this from when you were on the shop floor, when your coolant goes off, you emptied the whole tank, you filled it up again, and you were just wasting so much coolant. So coolant manufacturers are really starting to get on the boat now of finding a way of making coolant reusable.
Right, so recycling.
So recycling coolant is a big one. But then also, and I really want to keep it on machine manufacturers, because I know DMG Mori, they say now that every machine is CO2 neutral because of solar panels and wind farms, which is great. And you can see that on DMG machines now, because they always have the little CO2 neutral badge. So it's great that people are starting to look at sustainability, because obviously, like you said, in your era, you just didn't care. But then
I've got a recycling bin. Don't be like that.
But then I think as well, sometimes companies need to have a bit of a boost and a bit of an incentive to get there, to get to net zero, so we get there quicker.
Yeah, Tom, I'd love to talk a little bit more about that. And thank you so much for bringing it up from the shop floor perspective. And you're right, like incentives really do help when you think of why would I implement solar panels. But I want to touch base on the two highlights you mentioned right away, which was the coolant and the filter systems, right? I was just in a shop, Tom, and this is really cool. Colin, you might find this fascinating, as well as Dr. Markus, you may know about this as well. But I was in with Qualichem into a factory, and they were utilizing some coolant because they wanted to save, I think it was like 50% of the cost on the front end, right? But what they realized was the coolant that they were using was a little lesser quality, and it was actually more sticky and gummy. So the coolant was actually sticking to the material itself. So when parts were being removed, it was taking longer to clean. On top of that, the tool wear was getting worse, and the finish was getting worse. Along with that, the barrels, and we're talking, I know we're doing metrics in other parts of the world, but in the US, gallons, I mean, giant barrels of coolant. And they would go through it in a week's time because it was just so much being removed that was sticking to the material. So what they did was they switched to a coolant that worked for the process that they were working on, and they actually took that same barrel that was disappearing in a week, and it became 2 or 3 months of coolant. So they were instantly becoming more sustainable in that point. And also, I recently learned through the AeroX family, based in Canada, is there's a bunch of different versions and sizes of filtration systems. And the majority of people for a single machine need a certain unit, which looks quite small. But a lot of people get confused and go, well, if I have a bigger unit, then maybe I can do more filtration. And that's the remedial way to put it, but more filtration. But what's actually happening is they're pulling necessary coolant from the machine itself into the filtration system, which is losing the coolant before it's ready to be removed by sucking too much of it out. So if we all just take small pieces of our existing facility, and even if we don't currently have certain incentives to go full green, as Tom was talking about as well, to get to that zero. These small pieces will help the sustainability of our tool life, of our machine life, of our machine spindle life, and overall that coolant and filtration system is going to help with our breathing and the environment, which is going to attract more people to be a part of our machine shops anyway. You know, the
Absolutely.
dirty versus clean conversation as we're all going through that labor shortage. It really all comes into play together.
Okay, I'm gonna move on from there. I actually want to move on, but come back to what you said, Dr. Markus, in terms of saving resources. You know, you've got a big billet turn up, you're machining out and doing all the removal. But additive manufacturing, that ties in with what you'll do, because you're going to an event over in Austin, Texas, I think. Is additive manufacturing part of that circular economy and making the engineering companies more efficient?
Depends. That is what I said before.
I was
it's a
looking
very
for a yes
complex. It's no, it's a very complex topic. So depends on the solution. So for using additive manufacturing in generally, you need a new approach in design. You have to think in functional units instead of just simple parts. Then it could make sense, but again, it depends from the part, it depends from the solution what you need. You will also have cases where the traditional manufacturing, it's the better one,